Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ronaldo Pinto, and I'm the Technical Sales Director for AFT. My email is ronaldopinto@aft.com. And today we're going to be talking about generating NFPA reports with AFT Fathom 11. If you have any questions during the webinar, just type it down in the chat box of GoToMeeting. And at the end, we have a session of questions and answer. And I'll be trying to answer your questions. And if we don't have enough time, you will receive an email with the response to your question. This webinar is going to be recorded. And also you're going to receive an email with a link to see it after if you couldn't attend or you want to review it. Today's agenda, first we're going to be seeing how to create groups in AFT programs. Creating groups is very important to generate an NFPA report, and it's a feature that's been in AFT Fathom for a long time, and it's not only used for generating an NFPA report, it's also for other purposes. Then we're going to go through an example from NFPA 15 figure B2 that we're going to be using to generate the NFPA report. We're going to see how to create an NFPA path that is necessary to create an NFPA report. And then we'll see the NFPA report, some comments on it. And then we're going to see how GSC Goal Seek and Control module can help you create NFPA report. And we're going to see an example generating NFPA report using GSC. Then we have a session of questions and answer, where, as I said, I'm going to be answering your questions that you type on the chat box of GoToMeeting. So creating groups in AFT Fathom programs. The grouping capability is a powerful feature that can be used for many purposes. As I said, not only for NFPA report, but for other purposes as well, such as editing pipes and junction properties, creating paths or graphing, using different fluids in your model, setting different design alerts, allow GSC to achieve a condition with a set of junctions of pipes, or to generate NFPA report and other uses as well. So what are the steps to create groups? First, you select in the workspace the junctions or pipes to be included in the group. So in this case, highlighted in red, there's a group of pipes that we want to use to generate the NFPA report. Here, we have the pump, we have the remote nozzle, and we selected all the pipes from the pump all the way down to the remote nozzle to create a group so we can generate the NFPA report. Once you select on the workspace, you go to Group Manager and select Create. So you go to Edit, you go to Group Manager, and you select Create. Once you do that, then you give it a name and you select OK. Once you select OK, it will bring you a screen showing you the pipes that are included in the groups and the junctions that are included in the groups. If you want to add more, let's say we want to add 16, you just click on this box and you add pipe 16. So AFT Fathom comes with an NFPA report by default, and you don't have to pay extra for that. But it's not activated. You need to activate it. So how do you activate the NFPA report capability? First, you need to go to Tools, and select user option. Once you do that, it will bring you a screen and you select NFPA configuration and you select this box to enable NFPA. Here it will bring you the hasten Whelan value that it will use by default, and you can change it if you need, if you want another default to be used. So there's another step. Once you activate in the toolbox, then you come to analysis. You go to NFPA configuration and you tell it to use it. So these are the two steps that you need to do to activate the NFPA report. Once you do that, Hazen-Whelan equation pipe pressure drops will be activated as a default, and equivalent length and pipe fitting and loss models will be activated as a default. And this is the reason for this is because this is what NFPA uses to calculate the fire network. So the next step is to create a model, create a path using the report, the group feature, select a path to generate the NFPA report. So once you're going to generate the report, then you select what path you want to generate it from. So here, you come to Tool, select the group path you're going to generate the report from. So let's do an example using NFPA 15 figure B.2a. In this case, what we have is this example shows a hypothetical water spray system layout. So here in this example, we have the pump here, we have the remote nozzle here, and we have to select a path to generate the report, selecting all these pipes and junctions to generate the NFPA report according to NFPA 15. So the first step is to create the model. Here's the model again. We select this NFPA path to create the report. In the workspace, we select the junctions. As I said, the NFPA report goes from the pump to the remote nozzle. So here we have the pump. We select all these components around here, and here's the remote nozzle. We go to Edit Group, Create. So we go to Edit. We go to Groups. Say Create. We give it a name. In this case, we're going to call it an NFPA path. We go to Tools. We select the group that we're going to use to generate the report. Select the groups that contain the path for the report. In this case, we call it NFPA path. We run NFPA Fathom, and in the output window, we go to the NFPA report tab, and the report is generated. So let's do the example in real time, following all the steps described here. So here's the model, NFPA 15 B.2b. B.2a. So here's the model. The first step we do is to activate the report. How do we activate the report? We come to Tools, we come to User option, we select NFPA configuration, and we click this box to activate the NFPA report. Here's the Hazen William value by default. If we want to change it, we just type the number we want. So there's a second step. We select OK, and it's still not active until we go to analysis. We go to NFPA configuration and we tell it to use. Once, if it's an ignore, it won't be using the NFPA report capability. So you have to come here, do the second step, and activate. So now we're set. So now what do? We select the path to generate the NFPA report. As we said, we're going to go from the pump to the remote nozzle, and we select all these components to generate the NFPA report up to the remote nozzle. You can do it selecting one by one, or NFPA Fathom 11 has a new feature that it comes very handy right now. So what I'm going to do is I use an Fathom new feature. We select the pump, we select the remote nozzle, we come to edit, and we say select the shortest path, and it will select the path from the pump to the remote nozzle, all the components, and we can use it directly to generate the NFPA report. Once we select in this workspace, we come to edit, we come to group, we tell it to create, and we give it a name to generate the NFPA report. I already did that, so I'm going to show you here. Groups, select, and in this case, we gave it a name, an NFPA path. So here are all the components selected to create the NFPA report from the pump up to the remote nozzle. So the final step to generate the report, we come here to tools and analysis, we come to NFPA and we tell it to use it, it's ready. So we'll come to tools, say, okay, I'm going to generate the report for the NFPA path. We hit OK, and we're ready. We run it. We go to output. And now we have a new tab that has the NFPA report. We click it and it's ready. Here is the remote nozzle. Here's the remote nozzle, and it goes all the way down to the pump. Now, some notes on the NFPA report generated by AFT Fathom. NFPA Fathom report will show the actual values of the NFPA 15 report. Will show the reports that are required. That means that NFPA report values from Fathom will differ a little bit of what you'll see in NFPA 15 report example. NFPA report shows the components backwards. As I showed you in the report, it starts from the remote nozzle down to the pump. If there's a negative flow in the path, NFPA report will not be shown completely. To correct this, change the direction of the flow in the pipe, negative flow, by selecting the pipe and clicking reverse flow direction. Okay, so now let's see how Goal Seeker can help you generate the NFPA report. What is Goal Seeker control? System modeling with AFT Fathom GSC module provides a powerful automatic iteration tool. GSC module, you define the variables to be modified by AFT Fathom to achieve a specific goal or goals in the system. A few of common examples for GSE use include what pressure reduce involved setting will result in some minimum flow at a downstream location, determining the area or diameter of an orifice to yield a desired flow rate, pump speed required to deliver a required flow, total flow in multiple users, what pressure is required to achieve a minimum flow in a group of sprinklers. And this is traditionally handled by iterative runs, trial and error. Often this is straightforward when you have one goal and one variable, but if you have two or more variables and goals are present, pressure reduce involved and setting pump speed, for example, doing this manually becomes more difficult and more, if not problematic. So in example NFPA 15, figure B.2, the remote nozzle is specified. The example tells you which one the remote nozzle is. But this is not the case in the real life. Commonly, the user does not know where the remote nozzle is located at. This is when GSE module comes handy. So let's use the NFPA 15 figure B.2 example, and suppose we do not know the remote nozzle where it is located at, and we have a requirement of a volumetric flow of 42 gallons per minute in the remote nozzle. Let's imagine this case. So as I told you, NFPA report requires a path to the remote sprinkler. Quoting NFPA when it is not obvious by comparison that the design selected in the hydraulic most remote, additional calculation should be submitted. And this is very important what NFPA report, code says. The area, the most distant area is not necessarily the hydraulic most remote. So it's not obvious by visual inspection which one is the remote nozzle, and you need a tool to help you. GSE module will locate the remote sprinkler and will calculate the required pressure to achieve the minimum flow. So steps to use GSC to generate NFPA report. First, you have to activate the GSC module. So here in the lower corner of the box, there's a box here. You select this box, it will bring you all the AFT modules that you can use. So we select GSC to activate it. We go to analysis, the same as we did for NFPA report. We go to analysis. We select GSC and control, and we tell it to use it. So we create a group of sprinklers. As I said in this example that we're following, we don't know which one is a remote sprinkler, so we want GSC to select it for us. So here are all the sprinklers selected, and we're gonna tell it, find it, which one is the remote sprinkler, and we want to achieve a pressure, a minimum flow of 42 gallons per minute. What pressure do I need on the pump? We go to Goal C Control Manager, and we create the variables to achieve the minimum flow with the pump. So here we're going to tell it we're going to define the variables. It's a junction. Where the junction is located at, this is where the pump is located at. You're going to change the assigned pressure, okay? And then the next step is to define the goals. We create the goals, and in this case, it will be the group of sprinklers where we want to achieve the minimum flow. So we come now to goals. We define the goals. It's a group, and it's in the sprinklers in area 2. We want to achieve a minimum flow of 42 gallons per minute. And what it's going to change is the volumetric flow until it achieves the minimum flow we want. We run Fathom. We go to GSC variable tab and view junction assigned to remote nozzle. And now GSC will tell me which one the remote nozzle is. Here it's telling me that the remote nozzle is 12, and he managed to achieve the 42 gallons per minute required by the design. So once we do that, then we have to say, okay, I want you to model with the values because we made an initial guess. And now it's telling me you require a pressure of 249 psig in the pump to achieve in the remote nozzle G12 the minimum flow of 42 gallons per minute. We transfer the data. We create a path to remote nozzle. So we saw here that GSC told us it was the remote nozzle is G12. You see how it's not evident anymore? The remote nozzle is G12. It's located right here. So this is not easy to detect, and GSC helped us find it. So we create a path down to generate an NFPA report to that path. We call it remote nozzle area 2. We run the program and we make sure that the remote nozzle has 42 gallons per minute as specified by the design requirements. So let's see in an example here, step by step, how to use GSE Model to help us in the design. First, we go to the left corner in this box here. We select GSE Module. We hit OK. Then we go to analysis. We tell it to use the seek value. Then the next step is to define the group of sprinklers. So I already defined the group of sprinklers. I'm going to show you which one it is. So we come to group, select, sprinklers area 2. Here are all the sprinklers. So we're protecting this area with the sprinklers, and we want to know GSC to tell us which one is the remote nozzle for this group of sprinklers from this pump right here. So the next step is to define the variables and to define the goals to achieve 42 gallons per minute in the remote nozzle of this group of sprinklers. So I come to analysis, go to goal seek control, and first we define the variables. The variables would be the pressure in the pump. So it's a junction, and the junction is 11 where the pump is located at. You're going to change the pressure, and then we define the goals. We want in a group, you can select differential or point. In this case, we're selecting group. We want 42, a minimum flow of 42 gallons per minute in the sprinklers area 2. So now we define the variables, we define the goals. We hit OK, and we're ready to run it. We go to output. We come to GSE variables, and it's telling me that I require 249 PSIG to achieve, and in the goals, 42 gallons per minute, and the remote nozzle, in this case, the spray discharge is G91. So the next step is to create a path to assign those values. We know that's G91. Transfer those values. Okay, transfer the GSE values 200. I want to see it in my pump. So now if I go to the pump, I see the 249 that I require to achieve the minimum flow in the remote nozzle. Now I want to see which one is the remote nozzle, where it's located at. So I come here and say, okay, GSE told me it's G91. So I want you to find me G91 so I can build my path. Fine. So G91 is located here, right here. So now the next step is to build a path from the pump to the remote nozzle, and from then on we can create the NFPA report. So I select the pump, I select the remote nozzle. Here's the remote nozzle. I'm going to use the new feature from Fathom 11 and say, okay, select the shortest path. So now it's selected for me the shortest path from the pump to the remote nozzle. Now I'm going to create a group. Since I already created this group for the example for the preparing, so I'm going to say select remote nozzle and area 2, select. So now we're, okay, I'm going to do it from scratch. So now we come here and we come to tools. Okay. Analysis, NFPA configuration. I wanted to use it. NFPA path. Remote nozzle area 2. And now we run it. We go to output. Would be the NFPA report. And here we have the 42 gallons per minute minimum required, and we have down to the pump. So as you can see, GSE is very useful because it helps you find the remote nozzle, which is not usually easy to do by visual inspection. And it not only does that, but it also tells you the pressure you're required to comply with the minimum flow required. So now we come to the section of questions and answers. You have any questions? Okay, well, there's no questions. Thank you for joining us today. What's next? You'll receive a follow-up email with today's recorded webinar, and also with the upcoming webinars. You can download a free demo from our website, www.aft.com, and you can request an evaluation license. For pricing information in USA, it's posted in the website. International, contact your local channel partners. Thank you again for joining us. There's one question here before we finish, mentioning the variation from NFPA. How much variation? It's very low, but NFPA 15 has the required values, and NFPA Fathom reports the actual values. So, but it matches very well, but there's a slight variation, and the reason for that is that, as I said, we're calculating the actual values and not the required values. This example is available in AFT Fathom. If you have AFT Fathom, you can run it and you can test it. See the results in the report. Okay, thank you for joining us. Hope to see you in the next webinars. You have it listed at AFT.com. Please join in future webinars. Goodbye, and thank you again.